This video will show you the variable scope. The variable scope is where the variable can be accessed in the program. As an example, let's say you have a variable. You need to, before you use a variable, you need to declare it first. For example, you cannot simply use, for example, let's say total. Let's say you want to display something like this: total of the marks are, and then you use a variable. You assume the variable total already exists, but when you run the code, you will notice that you will get an error saying that total, okay, you will get an error here that says total does not exist, total is not declared. So you cannot simply use a variable without declaring it. So in order to use the variable, you need to declare it first. For example, whether it's integer or double, depending on how you're going to write your program. Okay, integer total. Once you declare a total variable, then you will notice that this one will no longer cause an error, and it will display total of the marks are 34, because this is based on what you have initialized here. Okay, even if you declare it here, you cannot even use total before it is being declared. So this is what we call it as you can see here in this line, it is indicated as error because it doesn't recognize what is total, even though you declare total right after this. So you cannot use a variable before it is being declared, even though you declare it in the program. So this is what we call as scope. The scope of a variable is where from the point of declaration, which is here, until the end of the program. For example, if you put it here, okay, so the scope of the variable is starting from where you declare it until the end of the program here. But it is actually depending on where the block of the program is. If it is, this is the block, this is where you declare the variable, which is inside this block. So it's going to end right after that block. Okay, so this block. Okay, so for example, if you have another block, just for example, declare a variable inside another block. I just simply put a block here. For example, even inside this block, I can still access total without error. Okay, now as you can see here, you will have this total of the marks are 34, which is from this line, and then you have another line that shows 34, which is just displaying this. This is just displaying this. Okay, as you can see here, the scope of this total is still from this block into the inner block. As long as you have how many blocks here, no matter how many blocks you have, it's still recognizing total, which is fine. Now let's say you declare a variable here, integer x equals to something 11, and you use it here, which is x. Then when you run it, okay, this one is still fine after you declare, after you output total here. which is 34. You got the 34 here. And then when you output x, it will output 11, which is here. Now let's see if you try to output x outside of this block. Now notice that you will have an error at this line. So this is where actually it means that you cannot access x, and it doesn't recognize what is x, because x is not known, because x is on the scope of x is starting from the declaration of x here until the end of that particular block. Okay, so that's all for the scope of the variable scope in C++.